The Silurian Gift by Mike Tucker. Chapter 1. Bob Clamp was cold. Colder than he had ever been in his life. Given where he was, he really shouldn't have found his coldness quite so surprising. He crossed to the window of the small security hut and stared out at the falling snow. "The South Pole," he muttered. "How on earth did I end up in Antarctica?" There was an easy answer to that question. Work. 2 months ago he had lost his job. He'd been a bouncer at a Croydon nightclub, but the club had been steadily losing money and customers until everyone had been laid off. He tried to get another job in London, but there didn't seem to be anything about. Not for someone of his age, at any rate. Then he saw the advert in the paper, security guard for a top-secret project with Pelcor. That had made him think. He'd always fancied himself as a secret agent when he was younger. The idea of working on something top secret was too good to miss. To his surprise, he got an interview straight away. It was with the boss of the company, a flash American named Rick Pelham. Bob glanced at the newspaper on the table. Pelham's photo was all over the front page. He claimed he had the solution to the energy crisis. Bob snorted. If he'd known that this was the top-secret project. He peered at the rows of oil drums lined up outside in the snow. The Pelcor logo was on each one. It didn't look like much, but his new boss, Pelham, had said that this was the answer. Bob didn't understand how this fire ice was going to put more petrol in people's cars, but Pelham was paying him very well to guard the drums. Not that he knew quite who he was guarding them from, mind you. He shook his head. As if anyone is going to trek all the way down here to steal barrels. Almost as soon as the words had left his lips, a strange electronic noise filled the air. Bob caught sight of a dark shape flitting through the snow flurries on the far side of the compound. Cursing under his breath, he snatched up his torch. He struggled with the zip on his coat, then pulled on his gloves and goggles, and hurried out into the freezing night. Flinching against the biting wind, Bob made his way over to where he thought he had seen the figure. Sure enough, there were footprints in the fresh snow. The odd noise came again. He pulled the taser stun gun from his belt and peered into the swirling snow. "All right, I know you're out there. There's no point in hiding." He started to move through the lines of oil drums. Suddenly, a dark shape was caught in the light from his torch. "Okay, come out. I'm warning you. I'm armed," Bob called. The shape darted to one side, and Bob caught a glimpse of shaggy fur. He backed off. He could deal with a man, but not with some kind of animal. He reached for the radio on his belt, intending to call his boss for backup. As he did so, he became aware of a shadow falling over him and the sound of monstrous breathing. Bob turned, looking up in disbelief as something huge loomed over him. The radio dropped from his gloved hands as he fumbled with his weapon. The monstrous thing gave a huge roar, then razor-sharp claws slashed down. The strange electronic burble cut through the air again, and the huge shape turned and moved away. Silence settled over the ranks of oil drums once more as the snow started to turn a deep, dark red. Laughter rang in Rick Pelham's ears. He glared in irritation at the strange young man in the tweed jacket and bow tie, sitting in the front row of the meeting room. The day had started out so well, Pelham thought. He had dressed in his most expensive suit, made sure that his stylist had made his hair look just right, and had a cup of his favourite coffee. He had watched as the journalists he had invited were flown in by helicopter. They had stumbled across the deck of his ship, shivering from the cold in their waterproof anoraks. Once in the meeting room, they had been left to wait, drinking lukewarm coffee from plastic cups. Rick Pelham knew how to make an entrance. By the time he appeared to make his announcement, they should have been glad to see him. Instead, he was being made to look foolish. "Forgive me, Mr. Doctor, actually," said the young man cheerfully. "Doctor," Pelham forced himself to smile. "And which paper are you from again?" "Oh, the Beezer, I think." The man waved his hands around airily. "Or Whizzer and Chips, one of the quality tabloids." "Well, you've been asking rather a lot of questions. Perhaps if someone else could ask something." "Oh, they'll just ask you boring stuff like what breakfast cereal you prefer or whether your hair is real," said the doctor. "But there's something I want to know. Out of all the hundreds and hundreds of miles of ice and snow in Antarctica, how did you manage to find this great fire of ice fuel source thingy? And on your first try, was it a lucky guess?" Pelham tried to ignore the chuckles of the other journalists. "It wasn't exactly luck, Doctor," he said. "We did a lot of research. Now that I'm ready to deliver our first shipload of fuel to the world, it seems a good time to—" "Yes, that's another thing," interrupted the doctor. "Extracting and refining the actual fuel from the ice should have taken you years. But you've managed it in a few weeks. Even I couldn't do it that fast." "Well, perhaps I'm cleverer than you," said Pelham through gritted teeth. The doctor frowned. "No, I don't think that can be true." There was another ripple of laughter from the room. Pelham could feel his temperature starting to rise. "Well, if you will let me continue, perhaps I can prove that to you," he said. The doctor leant back in his chair and folded his arms. "Right-ho, off you go then. Best of luck." Before Pelham could say another word, the ship's alarms went off. He glared at his personal assistant, Matt. "What the devil is going on?" Matt was struggling to listen to the message coming through the headset. "It's the refinery, sir. There's been some kind of accident." He looked shocked. "Some kind of animal attack." Suddenly the man in the bow tie was there at Matt's shoulder. His face was grave. "Then I think that we should get out there right away, don't you? I am a doctor, after all."